At 7 people facing murder charges. Death of 20-year-old Mahogany Jackson in Birmingham. Police say they now know Jackson was the victim of a kidnapping, sexual assault, and murder. A missing person alert was issued for Jackson Sunday night, and she was last seen earlier that day when police say she texted a family member saying she had been kidnapped. But then early Monday morning, her body was found in a road in Birmingham.
6 of the 8 defendants in the murder and kidnapping of 20-year-old Mahogany Jackson appeared in court today in Birmingham for a preliminary hearing. Prosecutors displayed still images from videos taken while Jackson was held against her will. ABC 3340's Gracie Johnson was in the courtroom today. And Gracie, some of the defendants' charges were reduced and even dropped.
Muriel, based on testimony and evidence that was presented during the preliminary hearing, Judge William Bell found probable cause for the defendants to be bound over for grand jury consideration. But like you said, some of the charges were reduced. Brandon Pope, Jeremiah McDowell, Francis Harris, Tasia Lewis, Giovanni Clapp, and Ariana Robinson were all in court Wednesday for the preliminary hearing. The prosecution presented graphic screenshots from videos. All of these were taken while Mahogany Jackson was held against her will before she was murdered. The photos depicted Mahogany being slapped, punched, stripped nude, and forced to perform sexual acts while held at gunpoint. Jefferson County District Attorney Danny Carr discussed the nature of the videos.
Sheer brutality, the barbaric nature of it. You can't substitute that by just still photos.
There are 8 videos total, initially brought forward to law enforcement by an acquaintance who was able to provide copies of some of the videos and direct investigators to Jackson's body. Investigators discovered 3 additional videos late Tuesday night. All 8 of the defendants are seen in a portion of at least one of the videos. Pope, McDowell, and Harris were initially charged with 2 counts each of capital murder. Pope and McDowell's capital murder charge on the basis of rape and sodomy were dropped. Harris's 2 counts of capital murder both carried over. Lewis and Clapp were each charged with single felony murder charges and assault in the 2nd degree. Clapp's assault charge was reduced to 3rd-degree assault, which is a misdemeanor. Lewis's assault charge was bound over. Robinson was present in court today, yet her felony murder charge was bound over by another judge. Now, while some of the charges today were dropped or reduced, Judge Bell said that he made it clear that these charges can be brought back at any time by a grand jury. Live in Birmingham, Gracie Johnson, ABC 3340 News.
Old Mahogany Jackson. And there in court is 6 of those 8 suspects were in court today, Jen.
Jonathan, this is one of the few things that we don't have on camera. One of the few things that happened to Mahogany Jackson that police just don't have cell phone video of. But today, the lead detective on the case said that the suspect, Francis Harris, reportedly pulled the trigger. This is Mahogany Jackson, the victim, and tonight we know that she endured significant violence before she was shot in the back of the head. The majority of those police say are responsible in court today for a preliminary hearing. The suspect showed no emotion while the state went frame by frame on a lot of that cell phone video taken of Jackson being kidnapped, stomped, drugged, stripped, and sexually assaulted.
The connectivity, the sheer brutality, the barbaric nature of it. You can't substitute that by just still photos.
The judge bound over the majority of those counts, which will now go before a grand jury. The forensic and ballistic evidence is still pending, including the bullet that was recovered from Jackson's
Gracie
body.
Johnson here in Birmingham. Today, I sat in on a preliminary hearing for 6 of the 8 defendants in the kidnapping and murder of Mahogany Jackson. Now, based on testimony and evidence that was presented in the preliminary hearing, Judge William Bell found probable cause for the defendants to be bound over for grand jury consideration. Brandon Pope, Jeremiah McDowell, and Francis Harris were initially charged with 2 counts each of capital murder. Pope and McDowell's capital murder charge on the basis of rape and sodomy were dropped today. Harris's 2 counts of capital murder both carried over. Now, Tasia Lewis and Giovanni Clapp were each charged with single felony murder charges and assault in the 2nd degree. Clapp's assault charge was reduced to 3rd-degree assault, which is a misdemeanor. and Lewis's assault charge was bound over. Now, Ariana Robinson was also present in court today. Her felony charge case was bound over by another judge last week.
Yeah, Guy, Brittany, the hearing today lasted for about 3 hours, and the legal teams went through the details of what led up to Mahogany Jackson's death and even uncovered some new details about her final moments, and some of it was too unbearable for her family to hear. Now, today we know that the defense attorneys claim that Jackson was at one of the suspects' house, Brandon Pope, and questioned him about a gun that she says was stolen and money that was also stolen from her purse at some point throughout the day. She even made him strip to prove he didn't have it. Now, Pope told Harris to do something to her because she made him strip. Now, the detectives working the case say Jackson was assaulted multiple times throughout the time she was being held against her will. Now, both Jackson and some of the suspects' families were in the courtroom today for the detailed hearing, some of it becoming emotional. Now, District Attorney Danny Carr says her family might be disappointed some of the charges were reduced or thrown out, but they are one step closer to justice.
She was full of life, and she loved her family. She had just begun getting real close to her cousins, and she was my baby, you know. And she had a baby and didn't deserve what happened to her. She sent me a text message, and it said that she was being held hostage in apartment 3. Do not call, send the police. Something was wrong with my child. Let me tell you something. Mahogany is not the type of person. She's tough. Let me tell you, she's tough. She's not the type of person that's going to call for help if she does not need it. She was afraid. And I know that because that's my child. You see, so far 8 people have been arrested. 1 child. 1 20-year-old, but she weighed like 115 pounds. You know, she was a tough cookie, but she couldn't handle that, and she was terrified. I was sitting on the couch. It was like 1 something in the morning. So, and I just got done praying because I knew she was gone. I knew it. I felt it. And I said, Lord, please just make them tell me where my child is. I think earlier I had posted that on Facebook, but I just really prayed really, really hard. And I said, Lord, please just let them tell me where my child is. And it wasn't about 5 minutes later, I got a text message through Messenger. And it was a lady, and she was telling me, you know, to please call her. She had information pertaining to my daughter. I just felt, I was thankful. I was thankful.
Okay, so from my understanding, they dropped some of the charges, not all the charges, because they can't charge them with something that they don't have any evidence of, but the grand jury can bring it back up, okay? So the grand jury can bring it back up. This is what the judge specified at the court. Okay, so my understanding as well is I have a video, so you guys can go listen to it if you have to watch this video all the way through to see what I'm talking about. But basically, Brandon Pope was asked by Mahogany Jackson to remove his clothes because she was checking to see if he had taken the money and a pow-pow. But that still doesn't give them any right to do what they did to that child. There's nothing that she could have did that would cause them to do what they did to her. So I just wanted to say thank you for coming, watching the premiere. You guys have a great day, and please like, share, and subscribe. Bye. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say, there is not only 5 videos, but 8 videos, and God knows how many more they have.